All right, here we go with the Trump cabinet nominations so far. To start off, we have the superstar of bullshit, the one, the only Mr. Matt Gaetz. Yes, Butthead himself, the one who famously wrote on Venmo memos that, hey, for the Molly and the BJs, to these underage girls that he proceeded to allegedly take across state lines and have drug-fueled parties with. Well, he is going to become, if Donald Trump gets in office, the Attorney General. That's right, Matt Gaetz, the subject of all sorts of investigations, including child sex trafficking, is actually been nominated for Attorney General. Mr. Marco Rubio, you know, little Marco, is nominated for Secretary of State. Pete Hegseth. Now, Pete Hegseth is that, pseudo white supremacy type of Fox News type of anchor who's probably going to be the next person fired for allegedly having an affair with the First Lady. But anyway, that's besides the point. Yeah, he's part of Fox and Friends. And yeah, Donald Trump thinks he's cool. So, gonna put him in charge of a defense secretary. And here's one of my favorites. Kristi Noem. Kristi Noem. You know, the one who unalived her dog and a goat and a couple of horses. And, the governor of South Dakota. She is the Homeland Security Secretary. That's right. She's in charge of Homeland Security. I mean, he only hires the best people, right? John Ratcliffe, CIA Director. Mr. Ratcliffe is a former Texas congressman who served as Director of National Intelligence during Trump's first term, which he wasn't qualified for that either. Tulsi Gabbard, who's the Director of National Intelligence. Tulsi Gabbard. Former Democratic House member. She's one of the ones that pretended to be one thing that she wasn't. Well, that's her. Ran for president in 2020, then left the party. And, got the gold-covered plated knee pads. Lee Zeldin, the EPA administrator. Now, this former congressman from Long Island unsuccessfully ran for governor in 2022, has been a diehard supporter of Donald Trump, actually was part of the House of Representatives and voted against the clean water legislation at least a dozen, 24 times. So, yeah, clean air, voted against that too. And, totally against the whole climate change and protecting the environment from, companies that pour poisons into the water and stuff like that. He fought against all of that stuff. And now he runs the EPA. So that's all good. All right, Elise Stefanik. Now, Elise Stefanik represented upstate New York district in the House. She's a member of the Republican leadership in the chamber and is a vocal supporter of Donald Trump. She's one of those people who has no foreign policy, experience at all. But she's a UN ambassador. J.D. Vance, Mr. Couch Humper, dolphin-loving vice president, has better mascara than the press secretary herself. That may actually end up being Megyn Kelly, if rumor has it correctly. Susie Wiles, she's Miss Wiles. She's a political tactician. She's kind of like the dead mother of the youth movement. She's like that type of person. So she's chief of staff because, why the hell not? James Blair will join the White House as Deputy Chief of Staff for Legislative, Political, and Public Affairs. He was the political director of the Trump campaign and a Republican National Committee during the 2024 election cycle. Taylor Budowich, Deputy Chief of Staff. He was running the pro-Trump super PAC called MAGA Inc. That's his expertise to give him a job as Deputy Chief of Staff. Here's another one of my favorites. Count Dracula Jr. himself, Stephen Miller, another Deputy Chief of Staff. Mr. Miller is the immigration hardliner guy that talks about how he's so sexy all the women want to marry him because, he's got that whole Bela Lugosi thing going on there. But Trump actually, he's in charge of the internal White House version of the immigration policy. So, yeah, that guy who thinks if you're not white with blue eyes, you should go. Dan Scavino. Dan Scavino is the Deputy Chief of Staff. He is one of the advisors, been around for a long time. Thomas Homan. Thomas Homan served as senior immigration official in Trump's first administration. He's the guy who basically is in charge of he's the border czar. He's in charge of this mass deportation, and it's just going to be crazy, 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 because he's not only like ridiculous, probably has a pointed white hat at home, but he's one of those guys who just thinks he's too manly for words, kind of like Stephen Miller. Anyway, and then we have Michael Waltz. Michael Waltz is a former Green Beret, which gives me some hope. Current Florida congressman, kind of takes away a little bit of the hope. And he was regarded on Capitol Hill as the hawk on China and Iran. He served multiple combat tours in Afghanistan and opposed, are you ready for this? He opposed President Biden's withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. So this is a Republican that knows Donald Trump actually set up the withdrawal from, and he made a big stink saying Joe Biden did it and I oppose. That's who he's got going on. Elon Musk. Department of Government Efficiency, co-head. The other co-head is Vivek Ramaswamy, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. Eerily similar to the Dogecoin. Remember the Dogecoin, the Elon Musk Bitcoin thing that he put out a long time ago? Go Doge to the moon. What a coincidence that Donald Trump would name a whole department in government after DOGE. Wow. No, this isn't planned at all. So we've got all of that. And then we have Howard Lutnick. Howard Lutnick is a chairman and chief executive officer of Cantor Fitzgerald, who's a huge financial services firm, another multi-billionaire, because he's in touch with the MAGA people. That's right. Another longtime registered Democrat, like Donald Trump, most of his life. He said the party moved away from his interests, and now he is a Republican. He donated over $1 million to Trump's inauguration in 2017. That's just to the inauguration. And that was the inauguration that Trump mysteriously had $70 million disappear from the fund, and no one could find it. What a coincidence. But anyway, he is the transition co-chairman. And the other transition co-chairman, you may recognize her from running the Board of Education in the first one. That is Linda McMahon, Vince McMahon's wife, WWE, all that stuff. Yeah, major donor to Donald Trump, a one-time Senate candidate for Connecticut, former executive of the professional wrestling empire she founded with her husband. Oh, I'm sorry. She was nominated to the head of the Small Business Administration because, owning the WWF is definitely experience in small business. So, yeah, we've got Matt Gaetz as the Attorney General. We've got all these people. And what this is doing, and I hope you can let this sink in, MAGA and the Republican voters are getting a glimpse. They are already feeling the pain of the tariffs because a lot of the small companies have canceled Christmas bonuses because they're buying extra stuff because the tariffs when he comes in. And all of these things, getting a taste, the FA part of the FAFO, that's going on right now. But here's the kicker, and you guys all have to keep this in mind. Are you ready? The big reveal. He's not officially named president yet. There is 70 days, 69 days from right now for all of these investigations that are going on behind the scenes. Don't let this fool you. All the evidence that is coming up, the finding out the Starlink satellites and everything else, and all of the missing votes, millions and millions and millions of missing votes that are being discovered right now. You have a lifelong prosecutor and a president with full immunity. And he's showing his true colors. He's showing MAGA what they were going to be in for. But the investigations will lead to a recount. The recount and the re-vote will lead to President Kamala Harris, which will lead to the peaceful transfer of power. So So be diligent, stay educated, and be kind. We are all in this together, and it is not over.